The small bell above the door of Mama Rose's diner jingled softly as the man walked in just after the lunch rush on a chilly Tuesday afternoon in late fall. The place was a classic, American greasy spoon on the edge of a fading industrial town in Ohio, faded, red vinyl booths, coffee that never quite stopped brewing, and the smell of bacon lingering in the air like a permanent resident. Most customers were regulars, truck drivers, factory workers on break, old-timers who came for the bottomless cup and the company. Sarah Jenkins wiped her hands on the apron tied around her waist and approached, the single occupant who had chosen the corner booth, farthest from the windows. He was tall, dressed in an unremarkable grey coat over a plain button-down shirt, no tie, no flashy watch. His hair was silver at the temples, his face lined in a way that spoke of too many decisions and not enough sleep. He looked like any other weary traveler, except for the quiet way he carried himself, like someone who was used to rooms falling, silent when he entered, even if no one knew why yet. "What can I get you, hon?" Sarah asked, pencil already hovering over her order pad. She was 34, though the long hours and worry made her look older. Her dark hair was pulled into a practical ponytail, and faint shadows lived under her eyes that no amount of concealer could hide. She had been pulling doubles for months now, ever since the landlord raised the rent on the tiny, two-bedroom apartment she shared with her 8-year-old daughter, Lily. The man glanced up, his eyes a surprising shade of pale blue. "Just coffee black, and maybe the meatloaf special if it's not too much trouble." Coming right up." She flashed the automatic smile she had perfected over the years, the one that said, "I'm fine. Everything's fine," even when her car needed new brakes she couldn't afford, and Lily's asthma inhaler was down to its last few puffs. She brought the coffee first, then the plate of meatloaf, mashed potatoes and green beans. He ate slowly, methodically, without looking at his phone or reading the newspaper someone had left behind. When he finished, he placed the check face down on the table, stood, and walked out without a word. The bell jingled again as the door closed behind him. Sarah sighed as she approached the table. Zero, not even a penny, not a single dollar bill left behind. She felt the familiar sting in her chest, the same one she felt every time a table walked out on the bill or left less than 10%. She had been counting on at least a couple of bucks from this slow afternoon to help cover the electric bill that was already past due. Her hands shook slightly as she lifted the plate to stack it with the others. That's when she saw it. A small white envelope, crisp and expensive-looking, tucked neatly under the edge of the plate where no one would have noticed unless they were clearing the table. Her name, Sarah Jenkins, was written on the front in elegant black ink. She froze. For a second she thought maybe it was a complaint or worse, a tip in the form of a religious tract telling her to pray for better service. But curiosity won. She slid the envelope into her apron pocket and finished bussing the table, heart beating a little faster than usual. In the break room 10 minutes later, when the lunch crowd had thinned to just a few regulars nursing refills, she opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a check, a real check, from a bank she'd never heard of, made out to her for $50,000. Below the amount, in the same elegant handwriting, was a single line. "You didn't know who I was. You treated me like anyone else. Thank you, E. Harlan." Sarah stared at the numbers until they blurred. $50,000. Enough to pay off the back rent, fix the car, buy Lily a proper winter coat, get her inhalers refilled for the whole year, maybe even put some away for the college fund she had started dreaming about when Lily was still in diapers. But there was more. Tucked behind the check was a folded note on thick cream paper. "Sarah, I come to this diner once a year, always alone, always in disguise. Most people recognize me, or think they do, and change how they act. They hover. They smile too wide. They expect something. You didn't. You called me hon. You asked if I wanted extra gravy. You thanked me when I said please. Your daughter called you from the back room earlier, asking if you could bring home a milkshake. You told her you'd try, even though I could see in your eyes that money was tight. You never complained. You never let the tiredness show to the customers. I have more money than any man should ever need. And yet, I've spent years looking for proof that kindness still exists without strings. Today I found it. The check is yours, no conditions. But if you ever want more than money, if you want a chance to do something different, something for you and Lily, call the number on the back. There's a job waiting in my company's foundation. Helping families like yours. You start whenever you're ready. You changed my faith in people today. I hope this changes something for you too. Elias Harlan. Sarah sat down hard on the metal folding chair, the note trembling in her hands. Elias Harlan. The name clicked somewhere in the back of her mind. The billionaire who owned half the factories that used to keep this town alive before they moved overseas. The man who rarely appeared in public, who gave away millions in secret donations. She had served him meatloaf and coffee without knowing. Tears slipped down her cheeks before she could stop them. Not from sadness, but from the overwhelming rush of something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. The rest of her shift passed in a blur. She smiled more easily at the regulars, refilled cups without being asked, even laughed when old Mr. Donnelly told the same corny joke for the 100th time. When she finally clocked out at 9, the parking lot was dark and quiet.